4 of the main cities in the country, and they're actually accurate figures. I will divulge them on Monday evening at the full council meeting. But I just ask officers at this moment to be very diligent in what we're doing. We are looking after some of the most vulnerable people in society, and some of those people are really desperate at this present moment in time. And if you read the report properly, you see the number of people that are actually attending food banks is increasing week on week, and they can't go to that food bank unless they're directed there from our own departments. So I would honestly say, please officers, please be very diligent and help the most vulnerable in our societies. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really sort of concerning report, because clearly, the government heralded the discretionary housing payment as being the solution to people who are hit by the bonus tax. As this report makes very clear, the money that we've been given is going to be nowhere near enough to meet the demand, which is probably going to be at least 3 million, if not more. So I think it's actually being really disingenuous, I think, to the public to pretend that increasing our DHP to 917,000 is going to solve the problem. It's nowhere near going to do that. I think this is probably one of the most invidious policies that I've ever come across, and I'm sure other cabinet members, because we get people now regularly in our surgeries, etc., who've been hit by this. And you're right, George, the growth in demand for the food bank is just a damning indictment, really, of the government's policy on bedroom tax and other things. I think I'd just like to sort of just say how I'm grateful to the staff, our staff, who are having to deal with, the people who are literally desperate and obviously are trying to be as helpful as possible. But this report is asking us to approve the procedure for assessing applications for discretionary housing payments, and that officers keep this policy under review, which I think is sensible, and that we as members receive periodic updates on the application of this procedure. So can we agree those recommendations? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, takes us on to another horrendous policy, the council tax support scheme. But this is recommending a discretionary relief policy. Adrian, would you like to introduce this, please?
Yes, indeed. Well, first of all, obviously, I'm asking Cabinet to support the recommendation. If we look at 2.1, it draws our attention to the Local Government Finance Act of 1992 and explains that this was intended very much as a sort of short-term measure for locally defined discounts, and the main driving force behind it was to allow councils to react to local circumstances such as flooding or other natural disasters. And so it was only intended to be short-term, but now it appears that it's going to be pretty well firmly embedded in the system in order to continue to provide some alleviation for disasters. The only thing is, it was originally intended to look after short-term disasters like flooding, but it's now embedded to cope with long-term disaster of this government's policies. If we turn over the leaf and look at 2.3, we'll see some explanation there of how it's funded. It's going to be funded by a direct grant, but the direct grant was 10% less than that was received under the old scheme, and now we're in far worse circumstances than we were then. On its own, that amounts to a £2.6 million reduction for Wirral, and due to our overall financial position, not forgetting that on top of that we had £17.5 million of debt handed to us by the previous Tory Lib Dem Council. So we've got to try and cope with it on that basis, and that's why we've got the recommendation that we do have. I would ask you to also look at 2.7, which points out that a high number of charge payers are going to face financial hardship if they have failed to budget accordingly. Well, if this government honestly think, and I don't see how any